Hello guys, this is your friend Dark Fox Sage. And we are back with our new fanfic, which is, what if Naruto found out that his parents are alive and they return during Chunin exams? Part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then subscribe to the channel and like the video, it motivates me to upload more fanfics like these for you all. Now let's start the fanfic. Why? Sasuke. It was over, Naruto was dead, and Sasuke had killed him. No, why Itachi? Why would you do this? Sasuke was in horrible emotional pain, his brother just forced him to kill his best friend. I wanted to see you gain my power, the power of the Mangekyo, answered Itachi. I'd rather never have that power than kill Naruto. You're dead, I'm going to kill you, shouted Sasuke as he started making hand signs. Wait Sasuke, look at where you are, shouted Itachi. What are you? Why are we back in the vault? Asked a confused and furious Sasuke. We never left, I trapped you in Tsukuyomi, it's a power of the Mangekyo Sharingan. A power you now have, stated a half-sorry, half-happy Itachi. What are you talking about? What power? Where is Naruto? Asked Sasuke. He left this morning with Master Jiraiya. You didn't kill him, I trapped you in an extremely powerful genjutsu to make you think that you killed him, and now, you have the Mangekyo, explained Itachi. Go read the tablet, it will explain everything. Sasuke walked over from the door to the tablet and began reading. The Mangekyo is the most powerful stage of the Sharingan. The only way to increase is this: have the blood of both brothers. It give the ability to see through any genjutsu, cast the black flames and use the infinite world. Sasuke looked over to his brother. What the hell? Can you clear any of that up, or am I on my own on this one? I'll start from the beginning. I don't know everything, but I will tell you everything I know. Itachi sat and motioned Sasuke to join him. The original shinobi, the sage of six paths, was the master of all that is ninja. He basically invented modern genjutsu, ninjutsu, senjutsu. Itachi was interrupted. What is senjutsu? Asked a confused Sasuke. Senjutsu is the art of using nature chakra to enhance every aspect of your being. There have only been 2 recorded senjutsu users in existence, the Sage of Six Paths, and Jiraiya of the Sannin, though it is believed that there are clans that have the ability to use it as well, answer Itachi. Why has no one else learned it? Is it like a Kekkei Genkai? Asked Sasuke. No, the reason no one else can use it, because it requires massive chakra reserves, perfect chakra control and the gift of the Sage of Six Paths, answered Itachi. The gift of the Sage of Six Paths? What that? Asked an excited Sasuke. Was the Sharingan the eyes? You must have both the body and the eyes of the sage, or get the blessing of one of the legendary elders, answered Itachi. The body and eyes. The legendary elders. What does that mean? Asked Sasuke. The Sage of Six Paths had 2 sons, he gave one his eyes, and one his chakra. The Uchiha got the power of his eyes, the Senju got his chakra, but there is a family that has both, the Uzumaki. The Uzumaki is the clan that the sage is said to originate from, or they are the clan that resulted from a Senju and an Uchiha. The legendary elders are the heads of the 3 great summons, the toads, the slugs and the snakes. They may all grant the gift of the sage, but first you must meet the elders and get their blessing. Just because you have the contracts, doesn't mean you can become a sage, explained Itachi. So Naruto can learn sage mode. Could I learn it as well? I couldn't tell you. You need Sannin level reserves, and to get the blessing of an elder, that's how Master Jiraiya gained the ability, answered Itachi. So what's the blood of both brothers? Does that mean you have to be both Senju and Uchiha? Asked Sasuke. Yes, either the DNA of both brothers, or being an Uzumaki. Sasuke thought for a moment, so technically, we're both related to Naruto? He asked. Yes, we are distant blood relatives of Naruto, answered Itachi. The tablet said that the Mangekyo is the most powerful level of the Sharingan, but it also said that you needed both of the brothers' blood to increases it. does that mean that there is something more powerful than the Mangekyo? Asked Sasuke. Yes and no, there is a more powerful Dujutsu than the Sharingan, it is called the Rinnegan. The Rinnegan was believed to be a myth, but I work for man who has it. They're incredible, I've only heard rumors. But apparent the one who has the Rinnegan can control gravity, summon any animal, and even control life and death, answered Itachi. What? Control life and death? That's impossible, argued Sasuke. I'm just telling you what I've heard, it does exist, Pain has it, answered Itachi. Pain, is he your leader? Asked Sasuke. Yes, but I suspect he's just a figurehead for the real leader, but enough of the negatives, I need to leave by the end of the day so I don't arouse suspicion from Akatsuki. Let's grab some of the scrolls and head back to Naruto's house. I will teach you as much as I can about the Mangekyo and give you some training tips, answered Itachi. The both got up, grabbed the scrolls, and headed back to the Namikaze mansion. With Jiraiya and Naruto. Naruto and Jiraiya were about a mile outside of Konoha. So why are we looking for this Tsunade chick again? My dad already took up the spot of Hokage. Asked Naruto in a nonchalant tone. Because my apprentice asked me to, your dad is ridiculously smart. He wants us to bring Tsunade back to run the hospital and to train medical nins. My ex-teammate is the best medical nin in the world. Also he wants her to return to show that Konoha is still the strongest village, even though we lost a large amount of ninja in the invasion, that and she's the last Senju, answered Jiraiya. Fair enough, is she really that strong? Asked a now interested Naruto. Wait and see my apprentice, wait and see, stated Jiraiya. Now let's start your training. He pulled out a piece of paper and handed it to Naruto. Channel your chakra into that, it will tell you your nature affinity. Naruto started to channel chakra into the paper and stared intently at it. Right before his eyes the paper was cut in half and crinkled very slightly. What does that mean, Aro Sennin? Brat, I told you to stop calling me that. The paper being cut means that you have an affinity for wind, just like your old man, answered Jiraiya. What about the crinkling? What does that mean? Asked Naruto. What crinkling? Asked Jiraiya. Naruto handed him the paper. Jiraiya took a closer look and discovered that the paper was slightly crinkled. It seems you also have an affinity for lightning. But it's either so weak that it barely shows up, or your wind affinity is so strong that it cancels the lightning out. I think I know how we can figure it out. Make as many shadow clones as you can and have them each grab a leaf. Naruto did as told, and in a matter of 5 seconds they were surrounded by 500 Narutos, each with a leaf in its hand. The tree next to them was almost bare from the Narutos removing the leaves. What do we do now? Jiraiya was stunned. There was way more Narutos than he expected, but he just chalked it up to the training he did with Minato over the last week. Have them form a single file line behind you, and try to use your wind chakra to cut the leaf in half. Your old man once told me it was like grinding your chakra together and trying to make it as thin as possible. Got it, said all 500 some of the Narutos as they did as told and they got back on their path to the first town. -3 hours later. The train of Narutos had been steadily making their way with the original and Jiraiya, but they were at the end of their rope. Jiraiya saw this and was amazed they lasted that long, proving once again that Naruto had inhuman stamina. Pervy sage, I think that's as much as they can take, stated Naruto. Perfect timing, we're about 15 minutes outside of town, have your clones dispel in groups of 20, stated the toad sage. Naruto did as told, and after about 5 minutes all the clones were gone. Good, now try and cut the leaf again. Naruto did as told and tried one more time and the leaf split in two. Yay. I did it. Does that mean I mastered wind chakra? No, but you can use it at will. Now, he grabbed another piece of chakra paper and handed it to Naruto. Channel your chakra again, but hold back your wind chakra. Naruto did as told and the paper crumpled. Jiraiya smiled and said, so you have 2 affinity, I'm going to need to find some lightning jutsu for you. I'm sure that the library back at the house has some, but for now let's look for Tsunade. She's a blonde, probably looks about 30 and has a huge chest. I have an idea. Jiraiya was expecting him to use shadow clones, but what happened next he never could have expected. Naruto pumped chakra into his vocal cords, cupped his hands over his mouth and yelled loud enough for everyone in a 5-mile radius to hear, "Hey Master Jiraiya. Can I see the picture of Tsunade Senju sunbathing that I've heard about? Brat. Why did you do that? If she's in that town I am dead," yelled a frightened Jiraiya. "What's the big deal? You said she was your team. What's that rumbling sound?" As to answer Naruto, a dust cloud slowly appeared on the horizon. As it got closer and closer, Naruto saw a beautiful 30-or-so-year-old blonde appear running out of the dust cloud shouting, "Jiraiya, you pervert." In a flash of speed and ungodly strength, Tsunade uppercut Jiraiya and sent him flying deeper into the forest. She then turned to Naruto and said, "Are you the other pervert who?" Naruto. She was stunned. She was told that Naruto died the night of the attack. Did he get revived too? Yay. Do I know you? Asked a confused Naruto. He had figured out that the lady in front of him was the woman that they were looking for, but how did she know him? That means that Minato is back. But I didn't know that you were revived too. Asked a dumbfounded Tsunade. She now had two of her special people back. She no longer felt that oh so familiar hole in her heart. I was never dead, but Dad was. He took up the spot of Hokage when the old man died, and he sent me and Pervy Sage to come find you and bring you back with us. Asked Naruto. What do you mean you weren't dead? That's what I was told. You died the night of the attack. And of course I'll come back. Yelled a confused Tsunade. She left because 3 more of her special people died. Was one alive this whole time? Maybe that was a cover-up so that Iwa wouldn't find out about me. No, I've been alive this whole time. It was really bad for a while, but I made some friends and now I am a ninja. Dad even said I have a good chance of becoming one of the first rookie Chunin Sensei, answered Naruto. Before he could blink he was swallowed up in a giant bear hug and was struggling for air. In a muffled voice he yelled out, "Air, need air." Tsunade realized what she was doing and dropped Naruto. By the time Naruto got his bearings, Jiraiya had made his way back and a new woman with black hair was talking with Tsunade. Tsunade said something to the confused black-haired woman and she freaked out. She ran over to Naruto and he was once again swept into a crushing hug. With the once again need to breath, he struggled his way out. "How come I don't get a welcome like that? He's my apprentice," said Jiraiya, as he cried fake anime tears. "Jiraiya, if you turned him into a pervert I will castrate you with an old rusty spoon," warned Tsunade. "Relax, the kid is too young for that kind of stuff anyway, the brat doesn't even have a girlfriend," laughed Jiraiya. "Shit, I forgot to say goodbye to Ino." Panicked Naruto. "Who's Ino?" asked the Toad Sage. "She's well, we like each other," stammered Naruto. "Ah, little Naru-chan has a girlfriend. That is so cute. What's her last name? Maybe I know her parents," said Tsunade with a smile on her face. "Her name is Ino Yamanaka. We just really started talking about a week ago," answered Naruto. "That's my pupil, a lady killer, just like your father, only he was too dense to know it," laughed Jiraiya. "Yamanaka. Oh, I need to see this girl. She's going to be a bombshell when she hits 16, stated Tsunade. The Yamanaka are almost famous for their good looks. "I wonder if she's Inoichi's daughter?" asked the black-haired woman. "Oh, right, Naruto, this is my apprentice, Shizune," stated Tsunade, a little embarrassed that she forgot to introduce them earlier. "Hello Shizune, will you be coming back with us too?" asked Naruto. Tsunade. "You're coming back. You said you'd never come back after the Kyuubi attack?" asked Jiraiya. That was before I heard that Minato was back. Hell, just yesterday I was turning down healing Orochimaru. I was heading there now to see if it was true. I never imagined I'd get Naru-chan back too, answered Tsunade. If you keep calling me that, I'm going to start calling you Ba-chan, retorted Naruto. Never going to happen, Naru-chan. Let's head back to Konoha. I need a place to stay, and I'm sure as hell not staying in a hotel room, stated Tsunade. Lead the way, Ba-chan, and you can stay with us, we got plenty of room, answered Naruto. Don't call me Ba-chan, yelled Tsunade. Secret base of the legendary pedo snake. I can't believe that Tsunade refused to help you, Lord Orochimaru. I thought the reward of her loved ones would be enough for her to be bent to your will, stated a silver-haired, purple-wearing teen. All is well, Kabuto, but this body is failing. I need a new body and fast. Gather the sound for. We need to retrieve the Uchiha. I'm sure his curse mark has ingrained itself into Sasuke enough that I may bend him to my will, answered the snake Sannin. Actually, Lord Orochimaru, my spy in Konoha has reviled that Minato Namikaze has removed the curse mark. He won't come willingly, stated Kabuto. Orochimaru gritted his teeth. Minato Namikaze was too big a thorn in his side. Well now, that calls for a change of plans. Send my Sound 4 and Kimamaru, I'm sure they can handle it. As you wish, Lord Orochimaru, answered Kabuto. -2 hours later, Tsunade, Jiraiya and Shizune. The two women of the group had just got done crying their eyes out. Jiraiya had sent Naruto ahead to work on his speed training, and told Shizune and Tsunade about Naruto's life, every beating, mistreatment and the suicide attempt. They had just stopped crying and were now walking in strong silence. They silently decided to catch up to Naruto. Tsunade figured that they would catch up well before they got to Konoha. Main gate. Naruto had just made it back to Konoha. Jiraiya had told him to train his speed, so he did. He crossed what would be about a 2.5-hour walk in a little under 15 minutes. His training with his dad and his inhuman stamina was really paying off. Now he was chatting with the eternal gate guards. Hey, Uzumaki, you forget something? Asked Izumo. Yay. You were supposed to be gone at least a couple days. We finally had some peace and quiet, laughed Katetsu, though they did not outwardly show it. The gate guards had developed a soft spot for the blonde. It all started when he showed up Ibiki during the first part of the Chunin exams. Ha ha, funny. No, we finished the mission. We found Tsunade Ba-chan in the first town we went to. They're on their way now. I just wanted to let loose and see how fast I got, answered Naruto. Good to hear. And we heard that Lord Hokage adopted you as well. Things are finally looking up for you, kid, stated Katetsu. Yay. And everyone we talked to that had a vote in the Chunin exams said they put in your name for a promotion. Is it true that you fought Orochimaru into a retreat in the Forest of Death? Added Izumo. Yay. But I couldn't stop him from putting that weird mark on Sasuke's neck. Are there really that many people that think I should be a Chunin? All I did was beat 2 guys and drive a third one off. Shikamaru took on like 10 guys by himself, said a dumbfounded Naruto. Were there really that many people that believed in him? Modest ain't ya? Asked Katetsu. What do you mean? I beat Neji and Gaara. So what? Asked Naruto. Wow. There are jonin that would brag about that and this genin is playing it off like it's nothing, stated Izumo. Yay. Really? Kid, you beat Neji Hyuga, the pride of the Hyuga clan, Gaara, who went full-tailed beast, and you drove of Orochimaru, a member of the legendary Sannin. If I could I would have voted you a full jonin, instead of special jonin, stated Katetsu. Me too, it's a real shame, I've heard a couple of people say that, and they're all pretty important people, stated Izumo. What's a special jonin? Asked Naruto. It's a chunin that has 2 or more jonin level skill sets. Like for you, I put down ninjutsu, stamina and tactics. Using a clone as a decoy tunnel under your opponent was pretty awesome by the way, stated Izumo. Naruto just rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. He was about to talk when two Anbu dropped down. Uzumaki, the Hokage requests you come to the tower, said the cat-faced Anbu. Yay, yay. See you two later. I hope I'm not in trouble, said Naruto as he wandered off into the village. That kid is going to be one hell of a ninja one day, said Katetsu. You're not kidding, I bet he makes Jonin in under 2 years, said Izumo. Let's just hope he doesn't turn into another Itachi. Minus 10 minutes later, Hokage Tower. Minato was sitting at his empty desk, and was writing the speech he was going to read to the masses at the ceremony. There came a knock at his door. He called them to come in, and was pleasantly surprised to see it was his son. Hey Naruto, I've got another mission for you. Our stuff from Tenon is ready and I want you to go pick it up and bring it back here, understood? Asked Minato. Got it, said Naruto as he turned to walk out the door. Oh, and get some ramen on your way back. But it was too late, Naruto had left. Minus 10 minutes later, Shinobi's best weapons. Welcome to. Oh hey Naruto, you looking for some new kunai? Asked Tenten. Sort of. I'm picking up an order, answered Naruto. Alright, I just need the name of your account. How you been by the way? Almost no one has seen you after your big fight with Neji, I heard you Gaara. Is that true? Badgered Tenten. I've been great, and yay, I beat Gaara, though it wasn't by much, I passed right after his team took him away. The order is under Namikaze, answered Naruto. That's so cool. You must be really strong to beat Neji and Gaara in the same day. So, why are you picking up the Yondaime order? Asked Tenten. It's a joint order, more than half of it's mine, answered Naruto. Oh, I see, I heard that he adopted you. Asked Tenten. Yep, about a week ago, I'm surprised that Ino hasn't told everyone, answered Naruto. Why would Ino know something like that? Unless. Are you two an item? Asked Tenten. If she was right, she had dirt on the gossip queen of Konoha. Leave the poor boy alone, said Tenen, as he came out of the back room. Come on back, I just finished your new toys, he said, waving Naruto to follow him. Tenten followed as well. They all walked back to the workbench, where Tenen picked up a custom kunai and tossed it to Naruto. The kunai was a mix between a flying thunder god kunai and a dagger. The main blade was the same as a normal kunai, only longer and wider. The side prongs came out of the main blade at a right angle and curved back to make a hilt that covered up the thumb and pointer finger. Both side prongs had a sweeping blade that got thinner the farther out it went, making even a glancing blow a serious gash. They're perfect. I couldn't have made them better if I had a year to think about it, stated a very thankful Naruto as he twirled it around in his fingers. They're all made out of chakra-conducting metal, so you can use them to their maximum effectiveness, stated a very happy Tenen. If you like those you're going to love your sword. He picked it up and tossed it to Naruto. Like the kunai, it was spectacular. The handle was just big enough to have a two-handed grip, the hilt was the same as on the kunai, two sweeping blades that were long enough to keep a sword from getting to his hand, but still long enough to be deadly should you catch them with it. I thought you said it was a sword. Where's the blade? Asked Tenten. It's not there yet, answered Tenen before turning to Naruto. Bring it in when it's done, and I'll give you a little present. Now get out of here. There's no need to tie up any more of your time here, my boy. He laughed as he put the two sets of kunai in storage scrolls, along with Naruto's new sword, and pushed him out the front door. Dad, why are you so nice to Naruto? You never let anyone back there, asked Tenten. Tell you next week, though by then I'm sure that you'll figure it out. Minus 5 minutes later, Ichiraku's. Hey old man, I need a takeout for me and my old man, can you set me up? Asked Naruto as he entered the stand. Ah, but of course my student, but why isn't he here with you? Asked Yuki. He's in his office. When do we start training? Asked Naruto. We start tomorrow at 5:30, Don't worry about a sword, just bring yourself. We won't get into the sword part of the training for about a week, answered Tuki. You're the boss, I'll be here on time tomorrow, answered Naruto as he placed their order. A few minutes later, Naruto took the bags and left the stand, leaving a very happy Tuki. He was finally able to pass on the style that gave him the title, the Blue Blur of Death. Minus 10 minutes later, Hokage Tower. I'm back, said Naruto as he walked into the Hokage's office from the window. Nice timing, Jiraiya and Tsunade just left. Tsunade and Shizune are going to live with us until she gets a new house. How'd the kunai come out? Asked Minato. Great. Mine are just as cool as yours, stated Naruto as he tossed Minato both weapon scrolls, took a seat and took out his ramen. Minato unsealed the kunai and was dumbfounded. Hey Naruto, wanna trade? Asked Minato. Yay right, I'm going to make those famous, stated Naruto as he started to inhale his ramen. Fair enough, let's get to work on your sword, stated Minato as he took out a blank scroll and a brush. So tell me everything you want this sword to do. Next day, 5:30, behind Ichiraku's. Naruto was standing in the alley behind his favorite food stand. Across from him was his newest teacher. Okay Naruto, I'm going to teach you the sword style that my great-grandfather created. It was meant to be passed down to my child, but a Yame never became a ninja, so I will teach it to you. The training for this style is very difficult, but should you learn it, you will become nearly unstoppable, stated Tuki. I'm not backing down old man, I'll learn this style if it's the last thing I do, yelled an enthusiastic Naruto. Good, now let me give a demonstration of the first step. Tuki started to glow blue and rose about an inch of the ground. Old man, that's so cool, yelled Naruto. Naruto, you haven't seen cool yet, said Tuki as he started to move in circles around Naruto, without moving his legs. He moved faster and faster until he was literally a blur. That is so cool, cheered Naruto. Tuki came to a stop and fell to a knee, breathing heavily. My, I haven't done that in years. Maybe I should start training again, it wouldn't hurt to be in shape, said Tuki as he got back up. Why did you ever stop being a shinobi? You're incredible, asked Naruto. I was the Jonin sensei for a group of young shinobi, their names were Hayate, Genma and Rado. On a B rank gone bad, we found ourselves fighting in a huge battle vs 10 missing nin. I used my sword style to the max of my body's abilities and beyond. We won the battle, though Hayate was stabbed by a poison kunai. He contracted some weird illness that eventually cost him his life. My chakra system was so torn up that I would have been next to useless in combat. It was about 3 years ago that I was fully recovered, but now I have a family, and I wouldn't leave my wife and daughter just to relive my glory days, answered Tuki. Wow, a true shinobi in every way. I want to be just like you. Now how do you move like that? Asked Naruto. Well, the floating is the easy part. Just force chakra out the bottoms of your feet until you're floating about an inch of the ground. Do that first. When you can hold yourself in the air for 2 full minutes, then we will move on to the way move, stated Tuki. Naruto just nodded. He started to force chakra out of the soles of his feet. After about 45 seconds he found the right amount of chakra and started to hover. Much to Tuki's surprise, Naruto made it all the way to 5 minutes before he finally fell back to earth, breathing heavy, but with plenty of chakra left. Good God, your reserves are inhuman, and your control is impressive too. I guess we move to the next step. Form a layer of chakra on your body, about a 1/4 inch thick. When you can do that, we will continue on to the actual moving. 12:30, Namikaze Mansion. Naruto had just gotten home from his training with Tuki. He was sweating, his shirt was all but destroyed from chakra burns, though Tuki said that those would stop when he got a good enough grasp on the chakra layer. He was about to go to the indoor hot spring when he heard a knock at the door. He walked limp to the door to open it, When he opened the door, he found an annoyed Ino staring him in the face. "What the hell happened to you?" she asked in a half-mad, half-concerned voice. "Training. I was about to grab a shower or something when you got here. If you don't mind waiting, you can meet our new residents," stated Naruto. "I don't have a choice, do I?" asked a smirking Ino. One of the things she liked about Naruto was his stubbornness, though she would never tell him that. Naruto just grinned and called out, "Free alcohol." Immediately a very happy Tsunade came flying down the stairs and stared at Naruto. "Hey Ba-chan, this is Ino. Ino, this is Tsunade Senju." "Brat, what have I told you about calling me that?" yelled Tsunade before she turned to Ino. "Well, I was right about the bombshell thing. Nice going, Naru-chan." "You're Tsunade of the Sanin," stated a stunned Ino. "Yep, and you're Ino Yamanaka, daughter of Inoichi. Naru-chan has told us about you," smiled Tsunade. "I'm going to shower. Don't corrupt her too much, Ba-chan." And with that, Naruto stumbled off into the house. "So, you like Naru-chan, huh?" Minus 10 minutes later. Naruto was walking back down the stairs from his room, still getting dressed, when he heard something that both intrigued him and frightened him. "Want to know how I got these?" It was Tsunade's voice. Naruto decided that now would be a good time to enter, but forgot he was only wearing pants. "Wow, Ino, you are one lucky girl," stated Tsunade. Ino couldn't talk, her mouth was too full of drool. "Whoops, forgot I wasn't wearing a shirt," he said as he slipped on the rest of his jumpsuit. "Brat, you need some better clothes if you want to have a Yamanaka as a girlfriend," stated Tsunade. Yay, and just how am I going to get those without overpaying for them?" Both Ino's and Tsunade's heart sunk at that statement before they both perked up. "I'll take you," the both said in unison, before looking at each other and laughing. This is going to end badly. Minus 30 minutes later, Shinobi Clothing Store. For the last 25 minutes, Naruto was dragged around by one hyperactive blonde, and one hyperactive, very well-endowed blonde. They had made it into the current store about 5 minutes ago, and Naruto had no fucking idea what he had gotten himself into. "What do you want, brat?" asked Tsunade. "Well, I would like to keep some orange, like a stripe on my pants or something," stated Naruto. Tsunade just nodded and went off to find said pants. Ino walked over to him holding a black mesh combat shirt, black combat sandals and a pair of dark orange half-sleeves. Do I get something to go over the mesh?" asked Naruto, figuring that Ino just did that to see his torso more. "Nope," said a joyful Yamanaka. Just then Tsunade showed up with a pair of deep blue shinobi pants with a stripe of dark orange going from the hip and tapering off at about mid-calf. "Here, brat, go get changed, I want to see how my little Naru-chan looks," stated Tsunade in a caring voice. Naruto just sighed and accepted his fate. After he got into the changing room, Ino asked, "How do you know Naruto? You two seem really close." "I'm his godmother. I was told he died the night of the Kyuubi attack. I am just trying to make up for lost time," said Tsunade with a sad smile. Ino smiled as well, another person to help Naruto. They were drawn from their thoughts by a familiar voice, well familiar to Ino. "Hey there, Ino pig, what you looking for this time?" asked a smirking Sakura. It was common knowledge that Ino was a shopaholic. She turned to see who it was Ino was chatting with. Who it was surprised her. "You're Tsunade Senju. Last time I checked. And who might you be?" asked Tsunade. "I'm Sakura Haruno. How do you two know each other?" asked Sakura. "Mutual friend," stated Ino with sly smile. The look on her friend's face was going to be priceless. "Who?" asked Sakura. "My boyfriend," stated Ino. "And who might that be?" asked a shocked Sakura. For Ino to pick someone, he must be incredible. As to answer her question, two orange-covered arms wrapped around Ino's waist and pulled her into a very loving hug. "Ah, you call me your boyfriend? I'm honored, Ino Heim," stated Naruto with his chin resting on her shoulder. It took a couple of seconds for Sakura to register what was happening, but when she did, "You're dating Naruto," yelled Sakura. "Yep. I had to grab him before someone else did," stated Ino, sending a sly smirk at Sakura. Sakura knew exactly what Ino was implying. Naruto had a crush on her, but she was glad. "Good, now I get Sasuke-kun all to myself." "Go for it, forehead. Ask him out. I bet he says no," laughed Ino. What she didn't know was that Naruto and Sasuke, despite always being at each other's throats, were best friends, and over the last few days, they were getting closer and closer. "He doesn't like you, he likes someone else," stated Naruto. "And what do you know, Baka?" questioned a pissed of Sakura. "Well, he told me who he liked, so I guess I would know." "Oh, and how did the meeting go with the Hokage?" stated Naruto. "That Baka sent me back to the academy and took my mom off the council." "Who does he think he is? He thinks he can just come in here and take over the village. He was stupid enough to adopt you. He doesn't deserve to be Hokage." Before she could finish her thought, she was sent flying through the door of the shop by a vicious right hook from Ino. "You're a joke, Sakura. You were supposed to be the smartest one out of us all. How are you the last to figure out that the new Hokage is Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime?" shouted Ino. "You've lost it. The Yondaime died defeating the Nine Tails," shouted Sakura. "Wow, this is what passes for a kunoichi these days. I'm going to have a talk with Minato about this. I'm surprised we weren't taken over in the invasion. Thank God you were there, Naruto. Otherwise we would all be dead right now," stated a very unhappy Tsunade. "I'll see you at home, brat. Bring your girlfriend by. That idiot Jiraiya got himself a second apprentice, maybe I should too." And she walked up to the Hokage tower. "Let's get going, Naru-kun. I'm hungry," said Ino as she walked away, not even saying goodbye to Sakura. Naruto walked side by side with her until they were out of sight. What's going on? Why doesn't Ino like Sasuke anymore? And why is Tsunade living with Naruto? Asked Sakura to no one in particular. -15 minutes later, Ichiraku's. "Hey Tsuki-sensei. I'm going to need some food for me and my friend here, can you fix us up?" yelled Naruto as he led Ino into the food stand and pulled out her chair. "No problem, kid," stated Tsuki as he walked out of the back. He spotted Naruto pulling out the stool for the other blonde to sit on. "And who might you be, miss?" "Ino Yamanaka, Naruto's girlfriend." At this time two things happened. Toicha's jaw dropped, and Ayame came flying out of the kitchen with hearts in her eyes. "Oh, this going to be bad." Next day, Hokage Tower, Minato's speech. Everyone was no edge. The people who knew that Minato was back in the Hokage were tense. They knew that he adopted Naruto. The ones who knew that Naruto was Minato's biological son were wary of the wrath he could bring upon the ones who treated him badly. The ones that only knew of the adoption were afraid that the demon was somehow controlling the most dangerous man in the world. Then there were the people who either didn't know about his return, or that just didn't believe that he was back. The crowd was abuzz with chattering and speculation, that is, until a figure walked out into the ledge of the balcony. There was silence, then, the figure removed his hat, and everyone saw the golden locks of hair, and a face no one could ever forget. Minato Namikaze stood in his old clothes, right down to the white coat with their red flames that licked the bottom. The crowd erupted in cheers and praise, until he held up his hand. People of Konoha. Everyone became deathly silent out of respect for the man. "I already said the acceptance speech once, so let's get on to the fun stuff," he yelled with a smile. The crowd laughed and cheered. "Now, my first act as Hokage is for the finalists from the Chunin exam to once again be tested. 3 days from now, the contestants will fight different opponents, varying in skill, to grade their true level. Should they be deemed a high enough level, they will be promoted to Chunin. Another round of thunderous Larousse, before one of the civilians yelled, "Who might these ninja be?" Everyone seemed eager to hear the names of the challengers. Minato just smiled. What he was about to tell them was going to shake Konoha to its very core. The fine young shinobi to participate in this exams are Shino Aburame, heir to the Aburame clan. There was a large applause, the clan was well known. Sasuke Uchiha, the next clan head of the Uchiha, another huge and thunderous applause. Shikamaru Nara, heir of the Nara clan, another applause, though this one not as large as the last one. Neji Hyuga, protege of the Hyuga clan, a thunderous applause, and my son, the heir of the Namikaze clan, and the head of the Uzumaki clan, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. And my son, the heir of the Namikaze clan, and the head of the Uzumaki clan, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. The crowd was silent for nearly a full minute before. Yosh! Naruto's flaming youth has never burned hotter! Shouted Might Guy. As a longtime friend of Kakashi, he knew about just how good the kid was. Yosh! I shall challenge Naruto to a taijutsu match. And if I lose, I will do 100 laps around Konoha on my pinkies while eating bricks of cheese with my feet. Shouted Rock Lee. Lee. Guy Sensei. Lee. And then it happened. The most horrible genjutsu ever created. Lee and Guy were embracing each other on a sandy beach that came out of nowhere, with a low sunset and crashing waves. Needless to say, everyone freaked out. People were clawing at their eyes, every ninja was trying their hardest to dispel it, and even Minato was doing his best not flash down and end it. Lee, let us show our true flames. Youthful hip thrusts of youth. Shouted Guy as he and Lee began to thrust their hips at anyone within a 25-foot radius if them. Bringer of darkness jutsu, shouted a familiar voice. In an instant everyone's world went black, though they didn't lose consciousness, the light was just gone from their vision. The people immediately began to cheer and thank whoever it was that saved them from the sight of two hip-thrusting bowl cuts. Everyone heard the sounds of struggling and ropes being tied, and then their vision was back. They looked in amazement as they saw both Guy and Lee knocked out and tied up on the ground. Standing over them was none other than Naruto. Naruto dropped to a knee and started to breath very heavily. In an instant Minato, Kakashi and Jiraiya. Minato helped him up, Kakashi gave him a food pill and Jiraiya was the first to speak. How much chakra do you have? That's an A-rank genjutsu. There's less than 10 people ever that learned that. And none of them could use it on 10,000 people. Every ninja in the crowd knew about the first and second Hokage's genjutsu, and every one of them knew how much chakra it took to use the genjutsu on one person, let alone 10,000. Every ninja in the crowd had just gained more respect for Naruto, and even some of the villagers for saving them from the horrible image they were all forced to witness. But still, most were wary of the young blonde, he was the QB container. Thank you, shouted one of the older men in the crowd, thank you for saving us from that horrid image. What happened next shocked Naruto, Jiraiya, Kakashi and everyone else who knew of the village's hate for the young Namikaze. The crowd erupted in cheers and praise, all directed at Naruto, though portions of the crowd still hated Naruto, more than half were cheering for him. That is until he fell unconscious from chakra exhaustion. Naruto's mindscape. To Naruto, it happened in the blink of an eye. 1 second the villagers were cheering for him, the next, he was standing in a sewer. He instantly remembered his training with Jiraiya and made his way to the cage that housed the QB. He walked into the room that the cage was located, but saw something he didn't notice the last time he was there, another cell, though this one had a human-sized door. I will tell you when the time is right, stated QB in a booming voice, referring to the other cell, but now, it is time we finally cleared the air. What do you want to clear up? We have an agreement, if I truly need it, you lend me your chakra, stated Naruto in a bored tone. Yes, this is true, however that was before I completely knew the seal that binds us, Or should I say seals, stated Kyubi. What are you talking about? What seals? Asked a confused Naruto. Why must my container be an idiot? The seal on your gut that contains me is not a seal, it is several seals, to be exact, stated the fox. So what do they do? My father was a seal expert, so it's obvious they don't all keep you locked up, asked Naruto. Maybe I was wrong about the idiot thing. The seals all have a separate job. There is the main seal, that contains me. The rest of the seals branch of that one. The ones I've figured out are a chakra converter, a chakra purifier, and an seal, stated the Kyubi. I'm guessing that the converter and purifier are so there is a steady flow of chakra flowing into me safely. Asked Naruto. The nine tails nodded. Then what does the seal do? That seal makes it so if you die, I die. If I force my way out, I die. If I overpower your emotions, I die. It basically makes it so that I can't do anything against you without dying. So, I am going to help you, stated the fox. You're going to help me. How and why? Asked Naruto. Several reasons. First, because I respect you. The second, because demons have a great deal of pride. I won't let my container be defeated if I can help it. And the third, the longer you live, the longer I live. I understand, and I thank you for willingly helping me, though I'm not sure how you can help, I'm looking forward to it. But I do have two questions. And that would they be? What's in that cell over there? He points to the cell on the opposite side of the room. Can't tell you right now, but trust me, it will be worth the wait. Now get ready, it's time to learn, stated Kyubi with a laugh. Fair enough. My second question. What's your name? You surprise me, Kit. My name is Kurama. A day and a half later, Naruto's hospital room. It had been an interesting 36 hours. Naruto had many visitors, mostly his friends. Ino was there as much as possible, as was Jiraiya. Minato would stop in when he could, but he had to prep for the makeup exams, which were in just a day and a half, answer all the questions about Naruto and his heritage, and had to keep the village running. Currently, there was two people in the room, Ino and Sasuke. Both were staring at the blonde. Ino was in the chair next to his bed, holding his hand. Sasuke was in the corner of the room, facing Ino and Naruto. This was the scene as Naruto was finally awoke. Naruto's body tensed up and his eyes began to flutter. As he opens them, he finds himself staring at the ceiling. A blank, white ceiling. God damn it. I'm in a hospital, yelled Naruto, scaring Ino and Sasuke. Naru-kun, you're finally awake, yelled Ino as she hopped into his bed and pulled him into a kiss. After about 2 minutes, Ino broke off and cuddled into his chest. How long was I out? Naruto asked Sasuke, who Ino had forgotten was in the room. About a day and a half. What did you do anyway? Asked Sasuke. I used the bringer of darkness, genjutsu on the crowd, so they didn't have to watch the bowl cuts hump air at people, stated Naruto. Always putting people before yourself. You would make a fine Hokage, came the voice of Minato, now sitting in Ino's chair. When did you become a pillow? Asked a grinning Minato. He didn't mind his son being so close to a girl. Hell, he and Kushina were practically engaged when they were that age. Ino's head shot up and saw the Hokage sitting behind her, with a huge grin on his face. She shot out of the bed with a huge blush on her face. It's okay, Ino, laughed Minato. Me and Kushina were like that at your age as well. Why yes, Hokage-sama, stuttered Ino. Minato just laughed lightly and said, you can call my Minato. From what I just saw, you're going to be my daughter-in-law, so you might as well start now. This time both Ino and Naruto blushed. Dad, yelled an embarrassed Naruto. You should count your blessings, brat, said Tsunade from the door. She had seen the earlier exchange. You and your girlfriend are a nice couple, earning another blush from Naruto and Ino. Ba-chan. Not you too, said Naruto, crying anime tears. Don't call me that. Now get out of here, you're cleared to leave, but take it easy, stated Tsunade before looking to Minato. You still putting him through the exams? You bet, stated a happy Minato. Konoha Stadium, day of the event. The sun was just coming out and illuminating the stadium. In the center of the stadium there is a lone figure. That of Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, who was meditating. Or at least looked like he was meditating. From the day and a half of his training with the fox, he was now able to have a conversation without having to retreat to his mindscape. Kurama sensei, my father has told me that all my opponents will be Chunin and up, and that he had a surprise for me for the last fight. What do you think he's up to? Thought Naruto. Don't know, kid, but if your old man thinks you have a shot, then you can do it, then I am sure you will. After all, I did teach you, THAT. And we did alter the seal a little. I doubt there's a ninja in this village that you didn't at least stand a chance against, laughed Kurama. Yay. I bet everyone freaks out if I have to use that. Let's just hope I get challenged enough to use it, stated Naruto. Well, I'm going to get some food. I bet old man sensei would like to see me before the exams. No problem, kid, stated Kurama as he cut the link. -5 minutes later, Ichiraku's. Hey old man sensei, how about a few bowls for a soon-to-be Chunin? Shouted Naruto as he made his way into the stand. Of course, I can't send my student into battle without a full stomach, laughed Chuki. Just so you know, I believe you're ready to try out the style if you need it, but look to me first, got it? You're going to be there. What about the stand? Asked Naruto. Ayame's got it covered. I'm going to set up a TV so she can watch it and man the stand, informed Chuki. It's televised. That means it's going to be recorded, right? Asked an eager Naruto. Yep. And you better do my style proud, said a joking Chuki. Don't worry about it, old man. I got more than a few tricks up my sleeve. -6 hours later, Minato was standing in the middle of the arena, with a huge smile on his face. He began to speak. Wow, a talented bunch so far, wouldn't you all agree? The crowd erupted in cheers. Minato quieted them down. Now, because of the situation, to show that he isn't being favored, my son Naruto will have 4 matches, instead of 2 like the rest of our contestants, and all of his matches will be against Chunin and up opponents. Everyone was speechless. What did Naruto do to piss his father off? Was he really that strong? Now, without wasting any more time, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, make your way into the arena, yelled Minato. Just as Minato said, arena, Naruto appeared behind him. No poof, no blur, he was just there. Everyone was stunned. There were only 4 ninja in the village that could move like that: Might Guy, Kakashi Hatake, Minato Namikaze and Jiraiya. But Naruto just did it, and what shocked them more, Naruto was wearing a new outfit. He still had his orange striped blue pants and black sandals, but he had lost the orange armbands and gained a new black Jonin flak jacket with dark orange stitching around the pockets and on the seams, and to top it all off, a black cloak with blue and white flames along the bottom. Ready whenever, stated Naruto. Minato just laughed. He was sorry for anyone who underestimated Naruto. First match, Naruto vs Kurenai Yuhi. Naruto didn't move as Kurenai made her way in front of Naruto. Minato, being the proctor, asked, "You both ready?" They both nodded. Fight. As he flashed over and sat on the wall. I know what you did to Hinata, and you're going to pay for it, said Kurenai with venom dripping from her words. I have done what had to be done. If you so wish to make me pay, you better attack with everything you have, stated a surprisingly cold Naruto. I plan on it. Tree binding death, she yelled as she did her hand signs. Naruto's eyes lost focus and his body went stiff. He was enveloped in a rather large tree, a tree that Kurenai was coming out of. Any last words? She asked playfully. Duck, Naruto said in a low voice. Too fast for any civilians could see, or any genin and most Chunin for that matter. Naruto spun around backwards and delivers a sickening heel smash into the side of Kurenai's jaw, flinging her across the stadium and breaking her jaw. As she slid to a stop, he body lie motionless, and Tsunade jumps down from the ground to wake her up and heal her. As Kurenai wakes up, she sees three people over her, Tsunade, Minato and Naruto. She stares at Naruto and sputters out, H-ho-ow. There are only a handful of people can place a genjutsu on me, you couldn't, because my chakra is too strong and there isn't a man alive that has more than I do. The only one trapped in your genjutsu was you beat yourself, stated Naruto. Kurenai was in utter shock. She was beaten in a genjutsu match, by a 13-year-old genin. Tsunade helped her to her feet and took her to the stands so she could get some rest. Next match, Naruto vs Genma Shiranui and Rado Namiyashi. Naruto recognized both names and looked to Tsuki for confirmation. He nodded and Naruto looked back at the two men standing in front of him. The one on the right was wearing the standard Konoha Jonin uniform and had a scar that went from the bridge of his nose and across his left cheek. This man was Rado. The man on the left, Naruto recognized as the proctor of the finals in the Chunin exams. This man was Genma. Hope you're ready, kid. We weren't your father's guards without a good reason, stated Rado. Yay, really? You would need an ace in the hole for us, stated Genma calmly. Naruto said nothing, but looked again to his sensei. Tsuki smiled and nodded and Naruto grinned. I have two actually, and I'm sure you will recognize one of them, he said as he pulled out his sword and activated it. A 2.5-foot long bluish-white blade of chakra shot out of the sword. This is my first ace in the hole. The base of my sword is ordinary chakra, though I have it coated with a layer of my wind chakra. It can and will cut through anything that isn't coated in chakra as well, stated Naruto. Both sides ready. All three nodded. Fight. Genma and Rado both pull out a sword and coat it with chakra. Genma uses water, Rado uses earth, and they both charge Naruto, only for him to disappear from sight and appear behind them, delivering a kick to Rado's leg, and a slash to Genma's back, though they both react fast enough for the attack to leave minor damage. Time for me second trick, said a cocky Naruto. Naruto started to float, about an inch of the ground, and then was surrounded by a layer of chakra. Both Rado and Genma go wide-eyed. It's not possible, yelled Rado. How? The only man that knows that is, Genma was cut off by Naruto. Old man sensei, my kenjutsu master, stated a smiling Naruto, right before he blurred toward them at impossible speeds. It was all the men could do to block their vital areas. It was all over in a second. Naruto reappeared in the spot he just left, holding both Tsunade and Shizune. Everyone looked over at the two Jonin. They looked fine, then cuts and gashes appeared all over their bodies and they fell to the ground. The medical nin rushed over to them, but were amazed as they looked over and started healing the wounds. Not a single one was life-threatening, all the vital areas were unmarked and every cut could be healed in a matter of seconds. It was the sheer number of cuts that was to blame for their sudden lose of energy. Rado and Genma looked up at a smiling Naruto, who had his hands out, offering them help up. They both grinned and took a hand. You really are something, kid, stated Genma. Yay. Just like your old man, joked Rado. Both left the arena to sit in the stands and watch the next fight. Naruto was once again standing in the middle of the arena, along with the Hokage. Can you continue? Asked Minato. Naruto gave him the, "Are you kidding me?" look and Minato smiled. The third match will be Naruto vs. Might Guy. Naruto looked to his dad and asked, "Are you insane? Guy is the best taijutsu fighter in the village. And from what Kakashi-sensei said he's just as good with justice." You are correct, my youthful opponent. My skills in both taijutsu and ninjutsu are top-notch. But for this fight, I will win with pure taijutsu, shouted Guy. Cool. I've always wanted to fight a bushy brow, but I guess I'm going straight to the green beast, stated a cheerful Naruto. Are both fighters ready? Both smiled and nodded. Begin. Naruto shot toward Guy, surprising everyone with his boldness. Naruto threw a left hook. As Guy moved effortlessly to block it, Naruto contorted into a flying knee strike aimed at Guy's gut. Guy wasn't about to let a simple fake fool him, and crossed his arms over his chest and gut to protect them. Then in a flash of speed, Naruto disappeared in midair and Guy went flying backwards into the stadium wall, leaving a Guy-shaped dent in the wall. The crowd was silently stunned. Might Guy was just edged out by someone in taijutsu. Guy peeled himself off the wall and stared at Naruto. A double fake? I've only known a handful of people ever pull that off, and I am one of them, stated Guy. I believe it's time to take off the kid gloves. Naruto nodded. I agree. I say you open the gates and I'll use its power, and let's see who can last the longest, said Naruto. Your youthful flames burn brightly, but not as bright as mine. Gate of opening. Gate of healing. Gate of life, shouted Guy as with each gate opened, a surge of chakra shot through his body. Now let's see your power, my youthful friend. Done, shouted Naruto as the air became heavy with the feeling of hate and dread. Red chakra erupted out of Naruto and began to form the Nine Tails cloak around Naruto. When it's finally done, it has two tails and what looks like a third trying and failing to form. Everyone in the stadium was awed by the sheer power rolling off the two fighters. Everyone of the Konoha 12, and everyone else their age, wondered if this was some new jutsu. But three knew it wasn't. Neji, who had made it back to his seat and recognized the red chakra, Shikamaru, who had figured out that the Nine Tails was sealed in Naruto, and Ino, who had been told by Naruto about the Kyuubi. Are you still in control? Asked Guy, still brimming with power. You bet. I can get up to 3 tails, but I start to lose it at 3. Shall we begin? Asked Naruto. Guy nodded and they both disappeared. It had been going on for about 10 minutes. The two forces would disappear, come together in the middle of the field, create a shock wave that would ripple throughout the stadium with a punch or a kick, then disappear again. Guy stopped in the middle of the field. Naruto was standing across from him. I'm sorry, my youthful opponent, but I will have to end this now. Shouted a very happy Guy. The only man in the village that was even a challenge for him was Kakashi, but now he had someone that could hold his own against him when he had 3 gates open. Yes, Guy was very happy. Frontal Lotus, shouted Guy as he kicked Naruto into the air and wrapped his arms around him. They started their descent, picking up more and more speed. Everyone in the crowd was silent. This kid had forced Guy to use the frontal lotus, his signature move. The fighters both hit the ground with a sickening thud and a huge plume of dust and dirt flew into the air, clouding everyone's view of the arena. After about 2 minutes the dust cleared and everyone saw Guy dragging himself out of the crater and collapsing on the ground. But only Guy was in the crater. Everyone began to look around for Naruto. Someone spotted him on top of the Jumbotron and pointed him out. He was laying there unmoving. On the TV beneath him, they were replaying the hit in super slow motion. Everyone was in complete awe at what they just saw. About 5 feet above the ground, Naruto had disappeared from Guy's arms, reappeared behind him, and used Guy's lower back to push off and shoot away from the green beast, just in time for Guy to hit the ground and Naruto to get away. Naruto slowly got up and made his way back to the arena through the crowd. Everyone was speechless. Then, the stadium erupted in cheers and praise. Naruto barely heard it. He made his way to the middle of the arena to see Guy taken in a stretcher. He looked to see his next opponent, only for him, and everyone else in the stadium to see Minato standing across from him. Final match, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze vs Minato Namikaze. Everyone was silent. Naruto looked almost dead on his feet and now he had to fight the Hokage. Kakashi dropped down from the stands and walked over to them. Both fighters ready. Both father and son nodded. Fight. Both Minato and Naruto shot backwards, giving each other space. I only have enough left for one jutsu, I'll make it count, yelled Naruto as he charged up a Rasengan in his hand. But this Rasengan was different, it was pure white, almost translucent. Comin' at ya, Dad, shouted Naruto as he took of at his father, Rasengan in hand. Minato just smiled, formed a Rasengan in his hat and yelled, "You're 50 years too soon, my boy." And Minato took off. They collided in the middle of the arena, Rasengan to Rasengan, and for a moment, time stood still. Everyone in the stadium was on edge. The boy everyone knew, whether it be good or bad, was going toe to toe with their leader, the most feared shinobi in the world, and the boy's father. Time began moving again. The Rasengan collided, a huge explosion took place and both men were launched backwards into the wall, knocking them both out cold. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto was having a weird dream. He was watching a man from a far-off world, a man he for some reason he knew as Teddy, was railing a fine young lass he called Diana. Naruto shoots back into his own world, breathing unevenly. "I've been hanging around pervy sage too much," said Naruto aloud to himself. "Oi, you say that like it's a bad thing." Naruto looked over to see Jiraiya sitting on the window sill. "Oh, hey pervy sage. When did you get back?" asked Naruto. "About noon. I got to see your fights. I have to admit it was impressive," said a very proud Jiraiya. "I'm glad my student finally passed on that Kenjutsu style of his. You look like you had a pretty nice grasp on it too." "Tsuki-sensei was your student?" asked Naruto, as he remembered that his father said they were genin together. "Yep. But there's something you need to know," said Jiraiya, completely seriously. "I have been informed that Akatsuki will be in the village by the end of tomorrow night, and they're coming after you." "What an Akatsuki? And why does it want me?" asked a startled Naruto. "Akatsuki is a group of all S-class missing nin. It's also the group Itachi is my informant in. They're gathering tailed beasts and Jinchuriki. We still don't know what for, but we know that they have the strength to do it," stated Jiraiya. "Me and your father discussed this, and we've decided that you will come with me for 2 to 3 years on a training trip. I'll teach you everything I know and you will be strong enough to defend yourself against everything the world is going to throw at you. So during these 2 to 3 years, will I be able to see my friends?" asked Naruto. "Yes, your father and I have worked it where during your training, you will be handling missions as well. Every once in a while, you'll be paired with a team," answered Jiraiya. "When do we leave?" asked a disheartened Naruto. "We leave at dawn tomorrow. No one is to know about you leaving. We will leave from the east gate," explained Jiraiya. "Come on, we got to go to the meeting." "Meeting?" asked Naruto. "The promotions, you know. You fought Kurenai, Rado, Genma, Guy and your old man," stated Jiraiya. "Wait, who won that? All I remember is my Rasengan grinding into his and then an explosion," stated Naruto. Council room. Naruto and Jiraiya walked into the council room, only to see they were the last ones to make it. "Okay, now that you two made it, let's get started," stated Minato, his arm covered in bandages. "This meeting is to decide the ranks earned during the makeup exams. I will state the contestant, and everyone who has a vote will cast. Now first, Neji Hyuga, Shibi, Chunin, Hiyashi, Chunin, Chuza, Chunin, Shikaku, Chunin, Inoichi, Chunin, Minato. I vote Chunin, Neji Hyuga. You are hereby promoted to Chunin." Neji bowed and stepped back. Sasuke Uchiha. Shibi, Chunin, Heishi, Special Jonin, Ninjutsu, Taijutsu. Chuza, Special Jonin, Ninjutsu, Taijutsu. Shikaku, Special Jonin, Ninjutsu, Taijutsu. Inoichi, Chunin, Minato. I also vote Special Jonin. Congratulations Sasuke, you've earned it, Sasuke bowed and stepped back. Last one, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, but first, let's hear from your opponents first. Enter. The doors opened and revealed Rado, Genma, Guy and Kurenai. Rado and Genma were half mummified. Kurenai's jaw looked to be taped on and she had a neck brace and Guy was wrapped in bandages and had crutches. Okay, because a lot of interesting thing happened. I want you four to break down his skills that you saw during his matches, stated Minato. Genma was the first to speak. Naruto showed speed that rivaled that of Kakashi Hatake, that, along with his kenjutsu style and skill, which put mine to shame. From what I saw during our match, he should at least be a special Jonin in speed and kenjutsu. Rado added, I would like to add his level-headedness to the pot as well. He injured us with a large amount of small cuts in non-vital areas and had the medics there before we hit the ground. Alright, Kurenai, you're up next, stated Minato. During our fight, he used description, speed and strength to beat me. He tricked me into leaving myself in a vulnerable position and capitalize. That, plus what I saw during your speech, proves to me that he should be a special Jonin in intelligence, speed and genjutsu, stated Kurenai with an amount of venom in her voice. She was angry that he hurt Hinata and pissed he tricked her into catching herself in a genjutsu. Alright, you're up next, Guy. Naruto has shown that he is very capable of fighting solely with taijutsu. I'd say that he's about low-mid Jonin normally, and when he uses the Kyuubi chakra, he's almost as good as me. Just from our match, I would say special Jonin, taijutsu and tactician, there wasn't a punch or kick thrown I could get a free shot out of, stated a completely serious Guy. I think that's the longest he's ever gone without saying youth, stated Naruto. Okay, and last, Naruto's match with me. Minato took a breath. Naruto, show me the Rasengan you used against me in your right hand, and a normal Rasengan in your left. I can't. I can only do one at a time. Why don't you make a Rasengan in your hand and I'll make the one I used? Asked Naruto. Minato raised his hand. Naruto's hand rose as well and they both formed a Rasengan. Minato's was the stranded blue, while Naruto's was the same white, translucent color as at the arena. No way, stated an odd Jiraiya. Naruto, how are you doing that? Demanded Minato. Instead of regular chakra I just use wind chakra, stated Naruto. Do you mean to tell us that you can make a Rasengan, the ultimate form of shape and power manipulation known to the 5 great nations, with just wind chakra? Almost shouted Heishi. Yay. I can get close with my lightning chakra too, but I can't keep that one stable, stated Naruto. Okay, time to vote. What rank do you all think Naruto has earned? Asked a serious Minato. Shibi, Jonin. Hiashi, Elite Jonin. Chuza, Elite Jonin. Shikaku, can I choose Sanin? Inoichi, Elite Jonin. Minato, as his father, I will ask his opponents and Master Jiraiya their opinion. Genma, Elite Jonin. Rado, Elite Jonin. Guy, Elite Jonin. Kurenai, Jonin. Jiraiya, Sanin or Kage. Minato smiled. Alright, I'm not sure if I can make Naruto a Sanin, so in the meantime, Naruto, you are the newest and youngest ever, Elite Jonin. There was a round of applause. Everyone is dismissed. Everyone that participated in the exams, you get the week off. Next morning, East Gate. Naruto didn't sleep the night before. He was in complete disbelief that he was leaving the village behind for as long as 3 years. His thoughts were revolving around his friends, father, Tsunade and Shizune, his girlfriend Ino. He was hoping that she would still like him after all of this, but his life experience had taught him not to get his hopes up. As he approached the gate, he saw Jiraiya and Tsunade. Now don't get yourself killed Baka, I don't know what I'd do without you, said a somewhat sad Tsunade. I promises Haim, and you do the same, I don't know what I would do without you, said Jiraiya in a low and loving voice. Then, it happened, Tsunade grabbed Jiraiya by the vest and they both leaned into a long and passionate kiss. Naruto was stunned. What was he seeing? Was Tsunade making a move on Jiraiya? Why wasn't Jiraiya surprised? Then it hit him. She didn't hate him like she always said, she lived him, and he knew it. Didn't see that coming. Naruto spun around to see Sasuke standing behind him with a travel pack. What are you doing here? Asked Naruto.